Kamen Rider Geats, the show, not the character, has talked a lot about like desire and its wants and its facets for its entire run. And I've been pointing that out. But it's not just desire in and of itself, nothing else. It's about its many facets. It's about the pitfalls of desire, how desire can ultimately be a harmful aspect with Japan. It can be a desire to hurt others, it can be big and bad, all these different kind of things. It can be reflective in Buffa's corruption that we've seen in this last arc. It is about Keiwa even looking for a more concrete desire with his big overarching want of world peace. It is also about the subtleties of desire with Neon just simply wanting someone to love her and like love her for who she is and all this kind of stuff, and respecting someone's desire so long as they fight for it, so long as it's something worth fighting for and it deserves respect. But this episode hits on something I have mentioned a couple times before, how you need to help other people with their desires. Hey! Ho! Everybody, it's Gateway to Geats time! How are you? I hope you're doing good. Tell me in the comments, are you doing good? I hope you are. Let's get into this. So, a lot of this episode is very focused on Jean, which is fine. Jean is a cool character. And we open up on the cliffhanger we had last week, which was Geats is strung up, Ace is strung up, about to be destroyed. Jean has been beaten down and he can't do anything about it, and Ace is legit about to be killed. But then, whoa, the heroes show up. Neon and Keiwa pop in, nick of time to save both of them. Neon running, Neon basically saving them, and Keiwa going like, alright, I'm just gonna go in guns blazing and run distraction. I love how he's using jet cannon, it's great. It's phenomenal. But Jean is really fucked up, and he's resting in the infirmary area, and Ace comes in and goes like, yo, I thought y'all were like weird immortal beings from the future. And Jean basically goes like, yeah, we are when we're in our timeline. When we travel to the past, we're subject to your rules. And it's just like, okay, that makes sense. That's why it's kind of like a thrill seeking. That's why it's not like this big thing that a lot of people do with the future. There is a risk involved, essentially. And basically Jean is just kind of like shell shocked of realizing like he just faced almost dying. He wasn't gonna be able to save the situation. He was at death's door, and they changed scene. They changed location. He basically asked Ace, "Hey, why? Look, I like you as a fighter, and you're really cool to watch. But like, why are you doing this? Why specifically are you doing all of this?" And Ace just lays out all the information we've kind of like pieced together and glued into a puzzle. And just lays it out verbatim what it is. Way back in the past, his mother left him with the simple thing, it is better to forget me. Forget me, it is better this way. A phrase he repeated earlier on in the show. I was like, okay. And ever since then, he has reincarnated, and he has looked for her. And it's like, okay. And he reveals basically that, yeah, no, I'm not looking for her to like reunite with my mom. I'm looking for her to explain why the fuck I'm reincarnating. Like, this is a little fucked up, and that's my only lead. I might as well see where it goes, kind of thing. And we also get an explanation for the coin. It's fate. It just shows up in his life. And it's interesting. I think it's also kind of like relaying that to the DGP and being a Kamen Rider and everything. And everybody's shocked at that. Jean is like, whoa, what? Neon and KO are like, oh, that fucking explains shit. Like, literally, their responses is great. It's really just kind of like, you know what, that explains things. But Jean is really shocked because basically he just went and faced death's door and is like fucking wrecked by it. And he's looking at this guy he looks up to and is like, oh, you've been doing this for centuries. Oh, and he starts crying, and Ace is like, yo, you okay? He's like, no, I'm thinking about I'm thinking about living that life, and it is terrifying. And Ace is like, yeah, it is. I got fucking used to it. And it's Jean, like, really having a true empathic moment and understanding the severity of death, something he's been kind of, I wouldn't say flippant about, but kind of like, he has been unempathetic about it in all these different ways. And it's the final part of the game for the Genoatos. They have to rush him as part of the rules. And Jean basically goes like, alright, Ace, here you go. Use this fucking fight with Boost Mark II with all your ability, no jet lag, every kind of thing. And hands him the gun part of his like morpher thing, puts it together, and now Boost Mark II has a little bit of armor, and my headcanon is that the armor slows down Boost Mark II just enough that it's able to be used. So that's why it's not as fast, and why there needs to be two of them. That's my little headcanon. And they beat back Baroba, and yeah! They win! They win! Huzzah! So, Geats has been saying that all desires are worth fighting for, right? Neon's desires worth fighting for, Kawa's desires are worth fighting for. Ultimately, he judges negative desires such as the pan, but it's much more of like, if your desire is justified and you have the will to fight for it, your desire is worthwhile, kind of thing. And he's been challenging people about caring about them and fighting for them and all this kind of stuff. And Jean was just watching with a very semi-selfish desire. He just wanted to be emotionally moved. He did not care for the people. He did not care for the situation they were in. He just wanted to have his emotions stirred. And Ace repeatedly points that out to him. It's just like, he wasn't empathizing with the people of the time. Like, these people are living and dying. This is a real situation. They're in trouble. And Jean's just like flabbergasted. Is like, what? But in this thing, finally, he gets what he truly wants, which is to be truly emotionally moved, and he realizes all of the pain that basically everyone he's been watching has been put through, you know? Is like, he finally like is like, oh shit, I've just been sitting on the sidelines letting all this kind of go and not caring about their internal things. Oh no. And realizing like how that affects those people. And Ace accomplishes Xene's desire. He helps him be emotionally moved, and ultimately Xene connects with that emotion and becomes a better person for it. Meanwhile, other aspects reflect this like conceptual idea of desire as well. Kawa is continuing being the good guy hero by helping wherever he can. He comes in, saves Ace, he's hanging out with Kekara. He's just trying to be a good dude. Neon's empathy is on full blast, just like understanding Ace and like trying to figure all this kind of stuff. And Buffa is completely going down the corruption avenue, because after Baroba gets beat down, after the game is up, he steals the Vision driver from Baroba, and it's just like, this is mine now. Fuck you. And like everyone's just like, oh, you've been using us. It's like, yeah, I have. He goes to the Goddess of Desire and just like pontificates and goes like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking accomplish my goal. And he's continuing to become the thing he genuinely hates, of like the Kamen Riders who would abuse and hurt other people. Also, real quick, by the way, minor bugbear, little nitpick. How does he use a Vision Driver? He doesn't have the thumbprint. I don't remember him getting the thumbprint. Nitpick aside, this was a really good episode. This was damn fucking good. Amazing action. I love when Geats uses interesting camera angles, and we had a bunch of them this episode. I'm really digging the Boost 2 suit. I'm not as hype about the armored version, but it looks fine. I think it's gonna grow on me a little bit, and it's really kind of nice to see the basic forms continuing to be relevant and used even while bigger power-ups are still in play. It makes everything feel relevant. It makes everything feel necessary. It isn't just power scaling for the sake of power scaling. But hey, you know what would power scale this channel? If you would like and comment and subscribe and do all the things, ring the bell, help me on the YouTubes, help me YouTubing. And hey, if you want, you could always join my Discord server. Link is in the description. We talk about shit. I post semi-weekly written reviews of The Mandalorian. I'll probably be doing other TV shows as I watch them. But hey, you can always join, hang out, we'll talk, we'll do all that kind of stuffs. Yeah, and also, hey, by the way, I have been reviewing King Oger. Just not in this format. I've been doing it as YouTube Shorts because I figured try something else. So if you want to know my thoughts about King Oger as they're happening, be sure to subscribe to this channel and watch the shorts. Simple as that. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. You know what's also easy peasy? The comments from last video. First things first, from Slime Beast 2003. I think the implication that Geats isn't human is interesting. Well, he's human enough, but he is a weird, immortal, long-lived reincarnation human who is now numb to the fear of death. he's fucked, bro. He's fucked, dude. Next up, from Fish Pop. Being reminded of the Jimato's chess motif made me realize something. We have pawns, knights, rooks, and bishops, but no kings or queens yet. Cue those being Buffa and Baroba, which seems like what they'll do. They may be the king and queen. That's very, very possible, especially with Baroba kind of being the queen piece of being really, really powerful and good to move and maneuverability and all that kind of stuff. While now it's very reasonable for Buffa to be the king because he has the big power MacGuffin, but he's just a simple rider dude, so he can be beat pretty easily. So maybe parallels. Though I will never rule out there being in-game big bad dudes. You know, but yeah. Next up, from Toa Nui. So I'll admit, I wasn't too big fan of Boost Mark II from the last episode, but after seeing this episode, I'm really liking it. Mostly because I'm a sucker for three things in Kamen Rider. Two of them being power at the cost, and super speed, and the last being overwhelming power like Oma Zio, Blade King form, Hyper Mituki, etc., which we haven't gotten to yet. That being said, I really like that the cost of speed is a massive exhaustion, and it reminds me of what I loved about the combos and O's and how Eiji would always be exhausted after their use, even till the last chunk of the show. Also, with the reveal of some of Ace's past lives being the reincarnations weren't all just the same guy under different-ish name, and they all look different, and knowing that he lived lives without being in the DGP, I can't help but wonder if he skipped them, and if he did, why, or the DGP wasn't playing during those lives. On another note, with Baroba, I think that's how it's spelled. I don't know. I've just kind of been smashing keys, buddy. Turning into Glare 2, I'm a little curious with the tiers for the future writers, because I kind of assumed that Glare 1 and 2, Gazer, and the supporters were all equal in power, but now I'm thinking that is very wrong. So, first things first, with Ace being reincarnated and not playing every DGP, I think the DGP just goes to, like, popular time periods. You know what I mean? Like if you're into history, you have a time period you're into. It's like, you're not just interested in just blank years. Like, oh no, the Victorian era. No, the Viking age. Oh, Sengoku Jidai, that kind of stuff, right? So I think the DGP, like, purposely picks, like, heightened historical time periods, and he, like, that's, if Ace is nearby when he can play those, good kind of thing. Super speed is always a fun power, especially in Kamen Riders. Like, super speed and time stop, I love those powers, but, like, in Kamen Rider, they just feel, like, really cool. I don't know what it is. Like, there's no part of it that, like, inherently links them, but I just think it's really cool. Maybe it's just because I watched some Kabuto and that fucking shit was hype, you know? But yeah. I think in terms of power scaling, I think the big top power is the Goddess of Desire. Then I think it's the administrators, you know, Glare, the producer, all those kind of things. Then I think you have the supporters, the sponsors, because the staff needs to be able to keep the sponsors in line, in check, and then you have the writers, which I think that lines up in terms of power. And now Geats, with Gene's, like, additional buckle, I think Geats is now at the level of, like, a sponsor. You know, if he uses everything, that's kind of the vibe and idea I'm thinking of. You know what I mean? And lastly, but not leastly, Esconde, Ace and Neon, taking time to up Keiwa's fashion sense, wardrobe drip, sounds like a really fun idea for an episode. I wish we could get that on a breather episode, or use it for the structure of a recap episode, and have some sections shift to show Baroba's coordinating Michinaga's strip with commentary from each of the characters on past events, and other thoughts on other characters' fashion game. Sumuri showing that she can hold her own in a fight, it was awesome. I hope she gets a vision driver or a driver of her own down the line. I'm surprised Niran hasn't fired Chirami yet for another major blunder, with giving Baroba the ability to transform with the vision driver. You're right, the final part, Tails being from Magnum, would be very cool to reflect the base form. That also reminds me of how nice and consistent the progression of Ace's forms have been theme-wise, owing to the previous for the next week in scans. Boost, Jet, Boost Mark II, Magnum, Cannon, Laser. Each stage shows an improvement and sticks nicely to respective side themes. I just think it'd be really cute if, like, Keiwa was like their sugar baby, you know, of just like, look, dude, here, let's just dress you up and make you nice and pretty. I just think it'd be cute, you know. And I definitely think like aspects of the DGP are more powerful than we give them credit for. I definitely think Sumori has to be somewhere up in terms of power scale, just for the sheer fact that she has to contend with all these writers and make sure everything works right, you know. And yeah, no, Jet and Cannon kind of fitting the Boost and Magnum idea. That fucking flew over my head. It, like, but that totally makes sense. Jesus Christ. Goddamn. Then now I'm more certain that the final form will have, like, a gun form and a speed aspect. Speed gun, starring Keanu Reeves, coming this summer. But yeah, no, Geats, man, Geats. And that's it for this episode of Gateway to Geats. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you forgive me for burping right there. And hey, remember, ring the bell, subscribe, leave a comment, like the video, share with your friends, do all the things. It really helps out, and it makes me feel nice. I appreciate it. Till next time, everybody.